Hello everyone, this is Brian, and welcome back to Twilight Struggle Play the Experts, where I play the experts and you get to listen to the Russian national anthem. Last time we had to survive our first truly low ops hand, which we came out in one piece with Africa with the help of the Voice of America card. He scored Europe, we scored Asia, we got into South America with puppet governments, sent destalinization into space, but then one small step for some random Russian guy catapulted him ahead of us. But then, ending with the Pope, we went to the next turn, which was a completely wild turn 5. We got cooed, we got ABM treaty cooed, we desperately tried to fill South America, we snuck into Central America, at which point the liberation theology came in, we had to eat some socialist government, and then his crazy space race thing catapulted him to the scary 4th spot where all sorts of trickery and of ignoring our control began. So, here we go into turn 6. Let's look at our hand. I'm very happy to see it's not a low ops hand. This is a good hand. It looks like a few more ops than it really is because it's got "We Will Bury You" in there. Although we've got the UN intervention, so we can just intervene it out and get it out of our hand if we so choose. We need ops and so forth. In fact, we could even, there's kind of a wild trick, we could even headline "We Will Bury You" to lower the DEFCON and then use UN intervention on our first turn with, I don't know, Portuguese Empire crumbles to avoid the 3-point penalty. So, that's exotic. We have better headlines than that, but it's an interesting one to point out. It is available if we wanted to do that. So, Alliance for Progress, we are going to want to be cashing in for as many points as we can get after the coup phase. If he coups in Africa, we'll get the full 5 points. Otherwise, we might get 4 points. So there's that. Now then, we have some other interesting cards. So Red Scare Purge, excellent headline, as we know, costs him lots of ops points all turn. Very, very strong headline. When you have that in your hand as the Americans, you almost have to make an argument why you should headline anything else, except grain sales, which you should just always headline pretty much no matter what. So, Bear Trap, interesting card. It puts him in a position where he has to, whenever we play it as the event, he has to miss his next round and maybe some more rounds while he tries to get out of the bear trap in Afghanistan. It's kind of his version of Quagmire. And it can be useful as a headline if you want to steal the first phase of the round, steal the coup, as it were, from the Russians. But the thing is, he's going to it means he gets to discard a card, otherwise he'd have to keep in his hand for free. So it's like free extra space race for him. Not that he needs any more space race, except that actually now that he's in the 4th box, he can't space 2 cards, but he'd be able to space 2 cards if we bear trap him. However, there is a combo that we can try, which is Red Scare Purge and Bear Trap are 2 great tastes that taste great together as long as you do the Red Scare Purge before you do the Bear Trap. So if we headline Red Scare Purge and then we kind of get him to maybe use a bunch of his big cards and get down to where he doesn't even maybe have any 3 and 4 cards left in his hand, then all of a sudden we bear trap him toward the end of the turn. He could be stuck without any cards he can even play, and then he would just have to sit there and skip his phase for a thing or two. And, stealing a phase and leaving him with crappy cards that he would have to keep for the next hand, that would be a huge awesomeness. So we should try that. I think we should try that. I mean, I would ordinarily, if I wasn't going to headline Bear Trap, I would just be playing it for 3 ops because 3 ops are good. But if we could get him to have to skip a phase or so, that's kind of neat in and of itself. So I'll probably try it because of the combo. Now, mind you, a high-level player is probably going to see a Red Scare Purge headline in the mid-war and think, ooh, I wonder where Bear Trap is. I better save a 3 card. So our chances are maybe not nothing, but they're not huge. So then there's our man in Tehran, which is a great card for the event. Now, it is turn 6, which makes it a little less exciting, but we'll see how it goes. We may decide to use it. We may decide not to. If it wasn't turn 6, I would almost make a huge effort to use it. But we're getting a little eventy here in what we're using these cards for, and we're going to need some ops. Now, Shuttle Diplomacy, interestingly, could help us as an event because Asian scoring is already done, and that means Middle East scoring will be the next one that comes in the things that Shuttle Diplomacy helps with, and it would actually tip us over the line. It would tip us over the line to domination. And so that's another one that might be good for the event. Now, Che would be scary, except that the only place he can get one of his double coups is in Costa Rica, and that's fine. Portuguese doesn't matter. And so it's time to get to our turn plan. I think it's headline Red Scare Purge, cash Che for ops, and Alliance for Progress for points as soon as we can. Assuming we don't face some utter catastrophe before we can play Alliance for Progress. We want to get our Man in Tehran played for the event. We want to get Bear Trap probably played for the event. We're going to have to think about Shuttle Diplomacy because honestly, looking at this map, it might actually help us a little bit. I mean, this could be a kind of a venti turn. I don't like a venti turn, so it certainly would go down to a low op situation if so. So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at some attractive events, and Portuguese Empire Crumbles is at least, fortunately, 2 essentially free ops because he is already well tricked out in Angola and he has African non-battleground, so it's not like we're stopping some domination. So I think we're just going to use that for ops. And, of course, we got to just be trying to survive the whatever horrible thing he's going to start doing. Is he going to come right up our throats in Europe, or what's he going to do with this space race advantage? I guess maybe we need to space something, even though it's not a bad card, just to try to get up there on the track. So, in any event, I think our card is the Red Scare Purge. So there it is. And he has chosen, the Brush War. That's scary. And I bet I know where it's going. Yeah, somewhere where we don't have any friends. Squishing, yucky, squishing noise. He takes from us. And he's going to coup. He's going to try to just take. At least he got a 1. Woo! Okay, so he did a kind of half and half there. And we get to kind of, he doesn't care. He doesn't have all that much in Europe. So we get to take some points out of Europe with our little event. But he did a brush war in Argentina, just squished it into mush. And then he tried to coup Venezuela and fortunately was unsuccessful. So, because that would be bad news if he got to score that whole continent. So I think we might want to go ahead and get our points while the points getting is good. Just that's the good news, is that we have maintained some really tough pressure on him on the score. Now he's playing Willy Brandt and he's breaking our Israeli control. Okay. That sort of makes me think maybe he's about to try to dominate it or something. But, of course, life is going to be a series of these little annoyances where until we have everything over control. Because if I get things over controlled, it's a lot harder for him because then he can only use his thing once, per action round. So he can't use it twice in one country in a turn to do that. So we'll probably want to fill that up to keep him from dominating the Middle East. And this is the other card we wanted to get out of our hand early. So we can get up to snuff in Israel and West Germany. We got one more point. I'd like to get to over control in Central America. I'd have to work on it over a few turns. All right, so he has wumped us hard, but failing. The non-aligned movement. Oh no. Okay. Oh no, what a nightmare play. What a nightmare thing just happened. Wow, that was... some of it was a good play and some of it was brutally good luck by him. So what just happened is he played the non-aligned movement, and that allows him to take he has to pick a country that has at least 2 influence from each power in it. And it has to be kind of it's like Africa, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, kind of places like that, the kind of non-aligned areas. And then he just gets to just level everything in that country, and he's chosen Israel. He just removed all that stuff. So that's why he played into Israel one point, not to just instantly dominate the Middle East, but to just be able to nuke all of our stuff with a 1-op card. And then the other thing about the non-aligned movement is it then churns 4 cards into the discard pile. And that was unbelievable how many of our good cards went in. I mean, Duck and Cover is a good card, but if he gets in his hand, he has to kind of deal with its DEFCON consequences. It's like his version of We Will Bury You. But then he got grain sales. And oh my goodness, it was horrible. I mean, the Suez Canal plopped over into the pile yet again. But that was like 3 of our awesome cards. Yeah, JFK, which would have let us purge all the bad cards out of our hand, especially if he had to give it, we could get rid of some terrible scoring card we don't want, like we don't want South America scoring ever again. So that was horrible. That was a great play by him and great luck by him all at the same time. I've never seen such a hemorrhage of good American cards going away. You sometimes see it as Soviets. You see all the good Soviet cards go away when the Shah card, hey, maybe the Shah card will come through for us and make up for that. But man, non-aligned movement, boy, that burned. All right, so I think we are going to need some ops. I think I thought of something to do with 4 ops from We Will Bury You, a UN mitigated We Will Bury You. I think we are going to bang those babies back into Israel and just claim that. That was expensive. And okay, well, we won't have to wait around. At least, good thing it's 5 points and not whatever it would have been 10 points if his coup had succeeded. I'm going to go ahead and put Shuttle Diplomacy in for the event here because it makes it so that we would dominate the Middle East instead of tying in the Middle East if it comes up. So Shuttle Diplomacy as the event means the next time either Asia or the Middle East scores, you delete 1 Russian battleground from the entire total, meaning he has 1 fewer countries and 1 fewer battleground countries. So that would actually take it from a 5-5 country and a 3-3 battleground tie to a 3-2 battleground and 5-4 total countries, and we would dominate that, which I think we could use these points. In Asia, it would be less of a big deal, but see, the Asia scorecard is out. If you don't remember that, you can see the little crosshair symbol right next to the scoreboard that reminds you that the Asian scorecard. So in this little particular loop of life, we're almost certainly going to be seeing Middle East scoring before we see Asia scoring, and this ops card to get 3 points and also cut down some of his shenanigans might be good. So that's my plan. I have no idea why the card is just sort of sitting there as if it's a bug. Well, he's actually going to Quagmire us. Interesting. See, that he could have used 3 ops there, but he decided to Quagmire us. Ironically, he did it right on the phase where I was planning to bear trap him next. So my bear trap is going to be set back a turn. And I hope that this Portuguese Empire Crumbles works, because otherwise we're having, okay, good. Yeah, 1-4. You usually get out, but boy, can it be annoying. I once spent 13 action rounds in a bear trap. That's my personal world record for seeing the bear trap. And the irony is I actually won the game. I was up 15 points when the bear trap started. And then when the bear trap ended 13 action rounds later, I was down 15 points, but the guy had taken over Central America as the Americans, which we did this game. And then he got the Daniel Ortega card, and he got trapped with that and Lone Gunman, and he had to start a global thermonuclear war. So I actually won that, which was pretty funny. So that's my little wild bear trap tale. But we got out of it. That's good. And so now it's the last action round. So, or maybe it isn't quite the last action round. Oh yeah, I don't want to get confused because I did do some mitigation. I did use the UN card. So yeah, I think now it's actually time for, first let's see what he does. Oh, wow. He is just going brazen. Look at that. All right, so he is trying to take over Japan. I mean, it would give him a toucher on my superpower. I don't like people touching my superpower, but I'm not sure it's as good as he thinks it is because of the shuttle diplomacy. I guess the shuttle diplomacy, as we figured out, will probably be gone before Asia scores again. But man, that's a pretty expensive. I mean, is he just doing it because he can? Why isn't he going into like Thailand or something to get his other battleground? Boy, I'll have to think about that. It certainly disturbs me if he wants to just disturb me. He's had great success. I'm glad to see the China card back. But woo, boy, he can just reach out anywhere and hurt us on the herder. All right, so now it is time to get the bear trap in there, and we'll just have to hope he doesn't have a 3 card, in which case we'll have to skip a card and we'll get some free phases and stuff. It won't be as good as it would have been maybe a minute ago, but if he can at least fail this one time, then we will have stolen the coup from him next time, because he'll still be trapped in it next phase, and of course he'll be worrying during headline phase, is he going to be trapped for even longer? So that's something. So let's see what he does. Hopefully he has to skip his round. No, it looks like he got out. Too bad. Well, he did at least have to throw his good card away. That Brezhnev is like his version of containment. It adds 1 to his card. So at least he was sad to throw that card away. But he had it. And he rolled high, he had a 2/3 chance to get out. He got out. Too bad. So now we're down to our man in Tehran. And what I've realized is we're coming up on turn 7. And partially because we are playing these extra variant cards, I actually have control of whether there's a reshuffle or not. In most games, the deck reshuffles during dealing out turn 7. But see, with our man in Tehran, I can discard I can cull the deck and discard up to five horrible things if I don't like the cards. But that's going to create a dealing of 5 more cards. And when we look at the cards played, there's actually 18 cards in the discard pile, and he's holding 2, and I'm about to play my last one. So I'm going to need to get dealt 9 cards. He's going to need to get dealt 7 cards. So that is 16 cards. So if I do this thing, and there's only 18 cards in there, so if I do the Shah for Shah stuff to look at the 5 cards and maybe get rid of them. If I discard more than like a card, then the deck's going to reshuffle. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm realizing that I maybe don't want a reshuffle right now. First of all, there's some brutally mean cards in the late war. So we'd get like pure black in turn 8, because if we didn't have a shuffle in turn 7, then turn 8 would be all late work, a huge hairy hand of late work cards. And I think that's pretty good for the U.S. usually, particularly when we're ahead on the scoreboard. I mean, I wouldn't want to go into that if he was ahead on the scoreboard and risk the war games thing, but it like puts war games into our much more likely to end up in our hand, and all of those tear down this wall and shooting down the Korean airliner and all these things. I mean, he's got some mean things too, but they're not quite as mean, frankly, as the U.S. cards. Plus, if you look at what scoring cards are out, we'll see Middle East is still in there, which we currently, quote, dominate, unquote, and Southeast Asia is still, hasn't come up in the mid-war, so that we want to see. But then in terms of the ones that would reshuffle in, I mean, yes, I'd like to see Asia and Central America, but I would not like to see South America, Europe, or Africa for a while. So that's kind of a 3-2 that I'd rather just not see the scoring cards. And I'd rather not see Asia before Middle East on some, freak turn 7 thing. So I'm almost thinking that I don't want to use the Shah for, which I would almost always do on turn, it's turn 6. How did I think it was turn 5? It is turn 6. So this is the least good time to use the Shah, because it puts the things that we discard out of the game for the least amount of time. And it might even, by putting them out, it might actually cause them to get back in pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm thinking Shaw, possibly for, not the event, Shaw for influence. Or for a coup. Yeah, get our 2 ops, don't lose 2 points, try to keep our, we're playing a scoreboard game here, so let's just stay with the scoreboard. All right, and here we have our turn 7, and I did not see the reshuffle as expected. Okay, this is perhaps an even worse hand than the one we had on turn 4. This is our worst hand yet. Now, we have been blessed by good hands, so we have to get through the bad hands and just try to look the other way and mitigate it. At least we have the China card, but notice as we kind of plan this turn out that there is a Cultural Revolution problem. When we play that, then he's either going to take the China card from us face up if we still have it, or he's going to get 1 point if he already has a China card. See if you can guess which version I like. I like the version where I play the China card for 4 ops, and then I play the Cultural Revolution for 3 more ops and give him 1 point. I'm willing to trade him 1 point for 7 ops. That sounds pretty okay with me. Now, some of the rest of the turn does not sound pretty okay. See, this would have been if he hadn't just scourged JFK off, then this would be the turn where we got to have Africa go to JFK perhaps and not have to score it, but it looks like we're probably going to have to score it. And then we've got this absolutely horrible lone gunman. That's his version of the CIA card. You know, he gets to assassinate our president, which is, you know, probably some other president than Kennedy by turn 7. But we can't play that card for ops when the DEFCON is anywhere in the 2 range, because then he would take a coup and lower it to 1 during our phase, and we'd lose the game. So that's a liability for us, and we can't send it to space because it's a 1 card, and we know JFK might not be back for a while, so that's bad. So we're going to be carrying him for a while, but we do have a safety valve on it, which is how I learned to stop worrying, which is a kind of interesting, multifaceted, good card. That lets us, first of all, it gives us 5 military ops, just bam, it gives it to us. But then it also lets us put the DEFCON anywhere we want it. And so if I were to use it in perhaps my second to last phase, I could lower the DEFCON to some 4 or 5, depending on my tactical plans. And then in the next phase, I could, in my very last phase, I could play Lone Gunman. And he wouldn't get to see very much in my hand because it was a last phase, and he wouldn't be able to end the game because it wasn't DEFCON 2. And so I could get that out of my hand relatively safely. So, particularly if we're going forward here, and there's no real worry this turn on him playing with my hand because I'm the U.S. player, but starting next turn, especially with a full, thick old hand of late war cards, he can get terrorism, and so if he knocks a card out of my hand and I don't have the China card anymore because I'm playing it this turn, well, then that means it might be the 2 cards we save this turn are How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Lone Gunman because of that safety valve purpose. So if we end up having to play it, we can do that. There's another little fun purpose of that card. If he doesn't happen to take any coups and we end up at, I don't have anything I can headline to stop him from having a coup, but in turns where he ends up without any ops, we can sometimes play that at the very end and put DEFCON at 5 and get 5 points for him failing his military ops, because we get 5 from playing that card. And if he doesn't see that coming, we get 5 points. And then the next turn starts and it's DEFCON 5, so it won't be as great of a time to get rid of Lone Gunman, but we could get rid of it at least without losing the game. So that would be, and for 5 points, I might take letting him look at my hand next turn, if that were to come up. So meanwhile, let's see, Panama Canal, not going to be super useful, although it helps us get some over controls when apparently we're going to need some over controls. Sadat is quite useful in Egypt, better played after Camp David Accords in this case, because that way we go straight to control. Romania, 1 op for Romanian, and Berlin Wall just gives him even more stuff in East Germany, already heading the space race, so it's just 2 ops, so I think, what are we going to headline in this turn? Guess I'm going to go ahead and headline Camp David. It gives us 1 point, but it also infiltrates some guys into, ooh, that is some irony. All right, well, he has crushed us with the Muslim Revolution, which we knew might be coming. So he has knocked us out of Iran and Iraq, and then he has... he's at least used a 4-ops card, so that's something. Now, we've infiltrated ourselves into Egypt, Israel, and Jordan, which gives us some over-control. It's actually also good because, see, now, because we have 1 point in Egypt, we're going to go straight to control rather than contested when we place a dot for the event later. All right. Oh, so First Lightning. That's the one that does DEF CON. That's interesting. I thought that was going out of the game, but I realized, because it's a asterisk thing that we played earlier, but I realized before we played it for ops, we didn't play it for the quote event. It felt like an event, but it wasn't really an event. So it's still in there, and now he gets to use it to get rid of one of our cards, and that is going to be Usuri River Skirmish, which would have given him the China card, or given us the China card, but he has taken over Iran, but the DEF CON went to 2 with him not having any ops. That's interesting. So maybe our little How I Learned to Stop Worrying plan will come into effect. Although, if he's counting cards the way we count cards, he probably knows that we at least likely, I mean, there's still like 2 cards in the discard, I mean, in the draw pile right now, but he knows we probably have that. So, he may find a way to get a coup here. Guess we're going to go ahead and try to stay on top of the Middle East game here, at least not get brutally dominated. We may not be able to stop getting dominated because he probably has that card. Yeah, he's going to go fill it up. And now he might have Southeast Asia scoring because he's playing with the Southeast Asia stuff. Interesting. So many problems. So many irritating problems. All right. Guess it's time to play the China card and get our 5 points in over here. Hope that shuts him up, because we need to get that card out of our hand. Okay, yeah, he definitely must have Southeast Asia scoring. Look at that, just for 2 points, he completely took over our little thing. All right, I guess I'm going to plug this one up so that he can't do that again. To it. He gets his 3 in Romania. Big whoop. All right, so good. He's giving up and scoring it. We get 4 points instead of 5, so okay, fine. I'll take 14. 14 is good. And all the scary-looking map, I'm just holding on to hope that the scoreboard momentum could hold us. The later cards usually go better for the U.S., except that we just saw a whole bunch of them go to the discard pile. So we are just hoping, putting our faith in the late war. Guess let's continue our Getting Countries Over-Controlled project. That covers 2 of them up. And plus holding that strong. Okay, he's space racing. Big deal. It's interesting that he didn't want us to have NORAD even at this point. So I'm thinking it's time to hand him back the Cultural Revolution card, or hand it to him, give him his 1 point, now that it's neutralized before he could ever possibly play. And I'm thinking about trying to get him out of dominating South America, because he's a little bit vulnerable to realignment in Brazil. If we can get some decent dice, because he's isolated there, if we could knock him out with a few rolls, then he wouldn't touch Venezuela anymore, and we could spread over there with like the Berlin Wall card, and then we would be, first of all, he wouldn't dominate South America immediately, and he'd have to do a lot more work. Right now, we're kind of on the precipice of having him control South America, which would be a lot of points for him. So I'm thinking about some realignments. Oh, failed once. Oh, nothing again. Oh, and we got him. Wow, how about that? That was not. I was starting to just not feel like that was going to go well for us. Okay, so he is getting a coup. He has decided he did not want to risk having no ops at the end. A smart opponent, which also makes us have to get ops or we're going to lose 2 points. So, and he's played Mobutu Sese Seko, which sometimes is cool, but this case doesn't really matter. It turns Zaire into a 3 stability and gives the U.S. 2 extra influence there. So mostly it just means, well, it's actually really good because it means he probably will never control Africa now. We were kind of sitting at a place where 2 little 1 stability countries, if he got enough coups and realignments, he could get us completely out of Africa. So now we feel a little bit more safe in Africa. I'm happy about that. So it's not a nothing event. But it's a minor one. Guess we have to just surrender to the fact that we need to get Africa scoring out of our hand. I'd always rather, it's always hard to bring yourself to do this, but it's good to not leave it until the very last, because sometimes the U.S. can make a positional play at the end of action round 7, and you need to save that action round, not just to be clearing responsibilities out of your hand. An example of something I could have done at the end would be to play How I Learned to Stop Worrying. I'm a little less tempted by that now, but anyway, let's save our option. Yeah, let's just be a big boy and get rid of Africa scoring. There you go, 4 points. Hate that. Oh, and it makes me have to watch the animation again. Oh, he's getting rid of nuclear subs, so he's trying to do some aggressive things and tempt us into not cooing with our last action. But on the other hand, say nuclear subs means that our coups in battlegrounds for the rest of the turn don't affect the DEFCON status. And I am definitely, I need 2 ops, so it's definitely going to be a coup now because I can do it in a battleground. I could actually flip Angola with this, with the little 2-point coup. That makes a tidy little end of the turn, and then it saves the 2 cards that we thought we were probably going to have to and want to save. So, yeah, I think that's what we do. Little free bonus battleground coup. You can see why he waited till the end of the turn to activate that. Oh, we didn't roll all that well. He gets his little extra East Germany stuff, but we got out of the low ops turn alive. Okay, boy, that was low ops. Let's hope this hand... Oh, and look at all the juicy late war cards. And so we are here in the late war. We are here in turn 8, and we are here with a hand of black late war cards. What do you think of this hand? What do you think of the board position? And what would you do if you were in command of the American forces? What would you headline? What would you be trying to do this turn other than survive his horrible space race thing? But how would you survive it? How would you plan to try to survive it? So tell me in comments. And we'll see you next time. Next time we will probably pound out the entire late war and come to a hopefully glorious conclusion, perhaps an ignominious conclusion. But we will see you next time on Twilight Struggle, Play the Experts.